Welcome everyone to Fabric Monday. This week we'll talk about Spark configuration. Let's go. You are seeing a notebook used to convert files in a lakehouse from the files area to the tables area. When making this conversion, which is in fact a movement of data from the files area to the tables area, we use some optimizations and we use the Spark configurations to make these optimizations. When we put optimizations like this in a notebook, they are a session optimization, session level optimization. And we would need to keep repeating, then repeating and repeating all the time. I'm giving as an example the optimizations for writing delta tables. But there are way more configurations needed that we may not would like to repeat all the time. We would like to have them configured and set for our environment. How could we do that? Well, first let's check an example about how to check the value of a configuration in a session. Spark conf get and the name of the configuration. So let's try this. The session was just started and I can see the value of the configuration. This configuration bin size is the maximum size of each Packer file, and this value amount is 1 gigabyte. 1 gigabyte is the maximum size of each Packer files for the table. This is the default value. So in fact I didn't need to put this configuration here because it's already on its default value. But let's make some changes as an example. How could I change the configurations and set configuration on a wider level, not on a notebook level? We have here the button Workspace Settings in my Lakehouse demo workspace. Workspace Settings. Inside Workspace Settings we have the area for Data Engineering, and inside the Data Engineering we have the area for Spark Compute. Here on Spark Compute I have a Configurations area where I can define Spark properties and define the values for these properties. There are many properties available on this drop-down, but we are not limited to these properties. The drop-down is open. We can type any property we would like, define the value. This property will be set when a new session is starting. If for some reason the property value is not accepted, we may get an starting error on the session. So let's try with these configuration values. So I'm getting the usual configuration values for Delta tables creation, optimization of Delta tables creation, bin size, so instead of using the default value, which is 1 gigabyte for each Packer file, let's make a smaller value. Let's use a smaller value like 100 megabytes. It's 104, 857 and 600. This means 100 megabytes, and let's save. So I just saved this configuration. These settings are updated. My session is still running. What happens if I execute again this config get? I still get the original value. Why? Because the set of this value happens only on the beginning of the session, and I already had the session started, so it's not trying to set this again. So I stop the session and start again. with the session starting again, now the configuration sets on the workspace level are being set on the session, and you get this value back from the workspace configuration level and not the default anymore. It's important to mind that what we are putting here on the workspace settings is being set on every notebook session on this workspace on the start of the session. So let's say I make some silly mistake like put some quotes on the true value. It's not intended to have quotes. I need to save. In order to see some difference, I need to stop the session and try to start the session again. This time I get an error message. Session info state from session core is error. Acquire session failed. Acquire session failed. It failed to get a session. Due to personalization failure. We tried to personalize the session and it failed because we tried to put a completely invalid value in a property and it doesn't accept. So if I save again with the correct value and start again, and I'm able to get the values again. That's it. Let's take a look on other configurations around this environment. For example, we have here configurations related to the Spark pool to be used in the Spark version. But especially interesting is the library management. We can load libraries from feeds or load custom libraries and define that this library should be available to every notebook on the workspace. So we can load some default libraries on the workspace setting of our workspace. And that's it for this Fabric Monday. See you next week with more news about Microsoft Fabric.